Don't forget that. You can call 24/7 and if you want prayer. Jerry, there was a time in your life as a young man, as a teenager, where you were at the end of your rope, and you really felt that there was nothing left to live for. Reflect on that.
Well, you know, I think that all of us have certain issues in our life that really capture our heart. And I, Ron, was going to kill myself as a teenager. I had 4 brothers, a father and mother, the country club, suburbia life, and I was lost, almost dead. And through the grace of God, I found Christ. And then years later, decided that this was an issue to talk about. I saw clinician books, and I said, that's not enough. Kids don't read clinician books. And so now, many hundreds of thousands of copies later, I've heard hundreds of stories of young people that have taken their life. But I want to say to you, I have never, ever gotten used to it. And when I listened to this mom and dad yesterday on the phone, and you can imagine trying to cope, trying to go to bed for the first night without their 16-year-old boy, I'm just telling you that this is an indication of how spiritually desperate our world is, and how that we as the body of Christ have got to get extremely serious about changing the world. The mission that's been given here through Don Simmons, our chairman and CEO, to literally reach all ages, at all stages, at all cost. This is very serious. We'll show you just how serious it is. Meet a mother now who will reflect on how her own daughter took her life.
My name is Laura Stob. My daughter is Erika Marie West, and she committed suicide on November 27, 2011 by hanging. She suffered from depression and anxiety. This is Erika's sanctuary. This is her escape room. This is where she came to write and draw and contemplate and think and read.
And how often do you come into this room?
2 or 3 times a week. Just sit and think. I can still smell her. I can still feel her.
And what thoughts go through your head?
Some are peace. Some are sadness. What would have been. What she was.
Did you ever think that Erika would complete suicide?
No.
Why?
I never thought it was really an option. In counseling, she always gave the right answer. You know, why are you suicidal? No. Well, why? Why are you not going to do it? Because my mom and dad would never get over it.
What suicidal warning signs did Erika exhibit?
Withdrawal, isolation. She isolated herself from family, especially my family and my stepkids. She did that I think she made it easier for them, so that she wouldn't come around, so that they would be used to her being gone.
What would you say to parents who have children that seem to be withdrawing?
Talk, connect, snoop, look into everything, read the text. They're very good at hiding. They're very good at masking. I could have found out so much through Facebook and Tumblr and her phone. Friends don't take it really serious. You know, she was always just kind of sad, and so they just, oh, you'll get over it, it's just a boy. You know, they're on to their own lives. And when they're talking and they're that sad, they mean it.
And I'm sure you understand why Crossroads Ministry produced the book, Why They Die, Curing the Death Wish in Our Kids. And then David Mainse challenged us that there were thousands of young people that needed a teen version. And I love this little book because I know it's going to literally keep young people alive. We're going to give it by the thousands, and we're going to ask you to do what you told me this morning in the green room, a man in Ottawa who's been speaking to audiences, raising money to give thousands of these to the young people in his area. It is a reality. You know, this is a t-shirt. Ron, let's hold it up. It says, "Be nice." And it reminds us of what Don Simmons told us, that the third most Google searched item last year was Amanda Todd in British Columbia, who bullied, made her YouTube video. 13 million people have seen it, and she committed suicide. She'd tried once before by drinking bleach. This is really, really serious.
That story, it captured everyone's attention and hearts, saying, you know, how could this happen? This young girl just so bullied to the point of taking her own life.
Well, we met along our journey a wonderful lady who taught how to be nice and how to understand mental health and merge it with spiritual health to keep our young people alive. Enter this great hero. Listen to this story.
And what did she actually say to her pediatrician? Remember, there was a key line that would have concerned me immediately. She wanted to disappear.
You created a program called Live, Laugh, Love. Can you explain it?
We said, you know what, we need to really start talking about the main issues here, and that is for kids to recognize the signs and symptoms in themselves of a mental illness. Because we know ultimately that those who die by suicide were depressed 9 out of 10 times. And so we need to concentrate on introducing kids to what is depression and how do you know if you're at risk. And so that's what it's all about. So if I just kept stepping on your arm and stepping on your arm and stepping on your arm, we would know it because you'd be screaming in pain, right? But now when Delia, okay, somebody is stepping on her with their words and how they're treating her, and she's emotionally distraught, but nobody really cares because they don't care to get to know her, and they're sending her all these Facebook things. They're basically stepping on her brain. We jump in and talk about physical illnesses, mental illnesses, and then we talk about the relationship between the two, and the kids at the end of the lesson, the hope is that they understand that the commonality is that they're both illnesses, and yet we look at mental illnesses so different than we do physical illnesses. And our hope is that the kids understand that if you get treatment for a physical illness, you need to get treatment for a mental illness. What's the phone number of something that you could call?
1-800-273-TALK.
Very good. We tie in an evidence-based model that's called Signs of Suicide, Acknowledge, Care, Tell. And that gives kids the tools now how to intervene in somebody's life that they might be worried about. And that is through acknowledge, caring, and telling. And with that, we teach students that the T in the ACT is to tell. It's not to talk to them. It's not, you're not the therapist. It needs to be telling an adult. It's awesome. And then the last lesson is be nice. And that's, again, an introduction. How you treat people can ultimately have an effect on whether that person wants to live or die, or whether they want to be at work the next day, or whether they want to come to school. And so it all goes back to what really we're talking about, and it's bullying, which is the buzzword now.
What's your message to parents who don't understand depression and suicide?
Well, the big thing is that we know it can happen to anyone. And if you have a brain and a mind, therefore you could possibly have depression, anxiety, a mental illness. And so we try to really do a lot of presentations in and around the city to parents for them to understand how anyone can have such a serious illness, just like anyone can have cancer, anyone can have this disease.
Listen very, very carefully to me. There is a teenager in your community that is depending upon you to be that rescue effort. There is a family that is hurting in your community. I'm not talking about British Columbia or the family that I'll be with this weekend. And we have a resource to put in their hands. We have written the book, Why They Die, Curing the Death Wish in Our Kids. And now we have coupled with it this beautiful teen version, Not Suicide. And it reads, helping you and your friends to live. For your best ministry gift, we want to take both of these books and put them in your hands. But here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to think in a larger scale about your entire community and for your best gift to Crossroads. Call now and say, I want to make a difference. We can't just curse the darkness anymore. We can make a difference. These tools are available, and they're dependent upon you doing what you can do. I hope that you'll get a number of quantities for your community.